Good morning. I'm Greg McKenna. It's Wednesday, the 21st of October 2015. Back to the future day. Yes, today was the day that Marty McFly came into the future. What a different world they imagined to the one we've got. Anyway, have a check out of New South Wales Premier Mike Baird's little Back to the Future moment. You'll see the article on Business Insider. Anyway, to the markets, it was a bit boring last night. It must have been. I've read that everywhere this morning. You know, so many places, so it must be true. But I think, you know, if you think of it from a patient trading point of view, if you like instant gratification, sure, you like big ranges, right? You know, last night was boring, the night before was boring. But if you're watching your levels and those sorts of things, I think what we've seen in crude last night, what we're seeing in the ASX 200, you know, those kind of things, what we saw in the Canadian dollar was interesting. You know, the period of quiet can be just as instructive as periods of volatility, often more so. To me, what I'm taking from the market at the moment is that positions continue to be held with little conviction. It tells me that there's a lot of bad news priced into the market as well. How else could Craig James, who's a CommSec chief economist in Australia, report that Thomson Reuters have said that only 40% of earnings reports so far have beaten revenues? Now, revenues are the oil that helps run the engine of corporate America. And if revenues are falling, then really you are getting, you know, a sector or not an economy, but a market that's going to struggle to make money. That questions then valuations that you can have for stocks. And of course, it then causes problems for the market going forward. So it's noteworthy on that basis to then have a look at the chart of the weekly S&P 500, which I'll just show you now. And what you can see here, this is my little cursor, hopefully you can see that. If I was to put a line through, say there, this was our range we had. You might want to call that your topping pattern. So where that blue line is above it. We've had our massive tank, if you want to call it that, our crash in August, mini crash. We've had our rally. And now you've got this zone of, you know, resistance. We've got the natural resistance, which was the bottom of the previous range. And you've also got the old trend line, 2065. So between, say, 2040 and 2065, you've got 25 points of resistance that might be a little bit big for the market to hurdle across. So if I can move this, no, it's not going to move, I'll put another one in. Because of course, what we saw earlier was we saw, you can't, let me just blow that up so you can get a better look. But you can see that if I move that, anyway, you can see here at the bottom in 2014 that we found a natural level of support. So now what we've got is we've got this zone. So what does that tell us? Market needs some new catalyst for impetus, and I thought it might be a good earnings season, but as we've seen recently, earnings season is not. It's not going to let me get rid of that. Earnings season hasn't been the boon that it might have been, and with that slowdown in momentum in the US stock market, we're obviously starting to see a slowdown in momentum in the ASX. And in fact, the ASX 200 has started to break down again. So if we have a look at the ASX 200 chart from this morning's Go Markets report, it'll be my chart of the day on my own website. And what you get, just blow this up so you can get a good look at it. Right, Nicholas Davis had loved this. So we've had this nice range, you know, crash, recovery, you know, range top, range top, range top, range top, starting to break down. Now, last night, it essentially touched my fast moving average. It was only a couple of points off. That was the level I was looking for initially, and then 51.50. So we'll see how the market ends up looking on that in trade today. But with commodities having stalled, we've got crude oil down. Crude hit crude also hit a level that I was expecting in yesterday's chart of the day. So this is today, I'll blow that up again. This is today's bar, or last night's bar, I should say. This is today's bar here. So the level I was expecting was that it was going to come down and retest the low from a few days back. I'm going to have to change these backgrounds, aren't I, so that they're better, they're more easily seen on video. It was 3 cents off. So that 45.76, give or take 15 or 20 cents. But let's just say that if 45.50 breaks, you've got another dollar, at least a dollar, probably $1.20, $1.30 in crude's potential fall. So they're pretty much the key highlights to me. Of course, the Canadian dollar did better on the election of Trudeau and his Liberals. That was a really strong victory. I'm editorialising now, so feel free to turn off. He's 43 years old. The next Prime Minister in Australia after Malcolm Turnbull is going to probably be in his 40s or early 50s. We're starting to see a generational change, I think, over the next sort of 4, 5, 6 years. Generational change in politicians. And if we see men and women in their high 40s or early 50s, you're really going to see a change in policy. You're going to see more focus on climate change and that sort of stuff. So from a long-term point of view, it might be worth thinking about how that's going to it could infect, I guess, some investment portfolios, but how it's going to affect investment portfolios. But that's enough of the editorializing. I think that's a really important thing, what we've just seen with Trudeau, and I think it'll be followed around the world. David Cameron's not an old man, and you can see he's got a different approach. Even the Chinese leadership, they know they've got to be there for quite a while, and then they've got to eat their own cooking at some point in the future. So we'll see. But I do think that's going to be important as an investment thing. For the moment, though, Euro's going nowhere, Sterling's going nowhere. Dollar yen is, sort of 150 point range, either side of that sort of where it is now, 119.85 kind of region. The Aussie is at 72.60. It's managed to hold above the level I was looking for by sort of 10 or 15 points each time it's gone down there. So it's really going nowhere at the moment. If I was to look at a chart of it, it's got long tails. But it just keeps holding in there. If you have a look here, you can see, and I'll blow it up again so you can get a better look. Long tail. What's going to happen today? We're probably going to have a rally, probably going to have a pullback. That's a market that's looking for a catalyst. Yesterday's RBA minutes were really important. They really didn't read like a bank that wants to cut rates anytime soon, and that being the case. The calls for a Melbourne Day cut to me seem a bit ridiculous. So we'll see how that pans out. The other big mover today was the Kiwi. Kiwi was down about 0.5% yesterday. The dairy auction went not so flash. Sorry, I was just looking at Twitter there. The dairy auction went not so flash, and so the Kiwi came under pressure. Prices fell about 3%. That's not entirely unexpected, but overall, there are some nice setups. So I'm watching my levels, but it's a data-free zone today. So in about an hour, I'll probably write another piece for Business Insider. But in about an hour, I'm going to go to the pool, going to have a swim. Then I'm off to school to see the principal. I'm head of the PTF, so just do some stuff, and then I'll probably go for a surf, and then maybe float back in the afternoon. But today's just a day that I'm going to be setting levels and going and doing something else. If you're a punter, Geelong Cup's on down in Melbourne. But otherwise, there's no data largely for the next 24 hours. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But the setups, there are some nice setups, so have a look at your charts. Anyway, that's it from me today. I'm Greg McKenna. Have a wonderful day. If you're a punter, I hope you do well on the Geelong Cup. I'm not, so I stick to trading, very different. But anyway, have a great day. You can find me on Twitter at Gregory McKenna. You can always find me at Business Insider and my own website, gregmckenna.com.au. And if you're interested, I've signed up for my Traders Club. I've just released a new ebook on what I think is the wisdom of Jesse Livermore. Jesse Livermore, I discovered when I was writing the ebook, had a much more startling impact on my trading approach and my style than I'd even realised. I'd forgotten he stood at a standing desk. I'm standing at a standing desk. I'd forgotten the way that he enters the market. A lot of the Livermore style, it seems, is my style. But if you want a free copy of that ebook, sign up to my Traders Club. It's free, and it's there as a resource for traders. So have a great day. Bye for now, and I'll catch you tomorrow morning.